But when do you guys think when do you think you made that transition into being that man, where being that leader, like the transition between boyhood and manhood is such a blur. You don't really know when one stopped and one started. And it's not like there's a guidebook that says like, and some people will do it like culturally, right? When you turn 18, oh, in America, you're a man now. You're technically an adult. You know, you can buy whatever. Well, you can't buy alcohol yet, but you can buy cigarettes. You can
enlist.
You can enlist. Right. Yeah, right. So like,
you could die for your country.
You could die for your country. Can't buy no liquor yet.
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's parts to this question, because saying when you go from a boy to a man, there's different aspects. Right?
When did you go from boys to men?
Yeah. There's the physical aspect of it, right? Well, some might say, oh, it's puberty, right? Or, you're 13, right, in the Jewish culture, right? But then there's also the mental aspect, which is huge. When do you stop thinking like a boy and start thinking like a man? Then there's the emotional aspect. When do you stop feeling like a boy and start feeling like a man? And then there's the spiritual. So there's different.
When you actually become a boy versus a man. Ooh.
So to add on to what you're saying, David, but in a more comical sense, when I was 18, I used to romanticize the crap out of like a zombie outbreak. Right, like a zombie apocalypse, like that was my jam. I'm just like, yeah.
You still do.
So. It's gonna be hold on. I'll be out like this, and it's gonna be me and the bros. It's gonna be me and the bros. We're gonna get in the bug out vehicle with our bug out bags, and we're gonna like go tactical and the guns, and we're gonna like find a Walmart, and we're gonna take it over, and it's gonna be amazing, right? It's gonna be woo woo woo. It's gonna be so much fun. And when I was let's see, how old am I now? 33. So when I was around 28, I realized that my bug out bag, I realized that a zombie apocalypse would be absolutely terrible, right? For many different reasons, but more pinpoint selfishly for my wife and for my now kids, right? When I held my daughters, my twin daughters in my hands, and I was like, I don't want the civil world to end, the civil world that we know to end. I want them to grow up, be able to play outside. I want them to be able to walk to the store, to go to school, not to worry for their safety. I don't want them I want them to have access to, if they're sick, to be able to go to a hospital or whatever, a clinic, versus getting pricked by, a rusty razor somewhere and not being able to get a tetanus shot or something, And I feel like, to me, that was when I realized, I'm thinking more like a man, right? It's no longer these silly boy fantasies, and now I'm thinking I have responsibilities. I have work to do. I have to provide for these two little creatures, these two little beautiful children. Which, on a silly side note, well, not that this was, anyways. So when I first held my twin daughters, I was like, oh my God, they're so gorgeous. They're the prettiest little, just so pretty, right? And then at I want to say around their first birthday or second birthday, Kata was showing me pictures of them as they were newborns. And I was like, ew, like these guys, what is this? Who are these babies? Like they look like little aliens. They're all purple and like, what's going on? And I was like, man, it's wild how your mind perceives things like in the moment, right? Anyways.
Is that parent goggles?
I don't know what it was, but it was a lie.
Bias.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Parent goggles, man. We all got it.
Yeah.
We all got it. Yeah.
So yeah, when do you become a man? I think it's when you start thinking and acting like a man. When you start accepting responsibility, to be more specific, because that's what makes us grow. When we want to work out, we have to take on the weight, right? And we have to decide act on it, that we're going to take on the weight for this many reps, do this many sets, and we're going to be consistent. And we're going to do it X times a day or a week or what have you. And then we see the results way later down the line, you know. But when we decide to take on the weight, take on the responsibility, walk with it, be consistent, I think that's when you are preparing to act like a man.
That's a good one. When do you become a man?
And Jesus was the perfect example of this. He decided that he was going to take the weight of our sins. He decided that he was going to bear everything, that all the monstrosities that we do to each other, he was going to bear that on the cross. And he didn't have to do that. He was God. He was in glory in heaven. And there was silence in heaven. Who is going to take on this burden? Who is going to be able to do this? And he said, I will. I will go.
See, I take that as a man. You know, a boy becomes a man when his world isn't revolving around him anymore. Like for your examples, when your life wasn't about you going through the zombie apocalypse, but rather preventing one from your family, your daughters having to go through one. The reality of one, right? Because that responsibility, it changes the game. When it's just you, you're like, yeah, yo, like I'll do it.
I'll
like,
grab a backpack, I'll go into the forest, and just naivety, just naive.
Yeah.
Like, I die alone. I wouldn't survive. Like,
no, you'll have Rudolph, but
I'll have Rudolph. You're right. My black mane Rudolph.
They might spot me at night. That red shiny nose.
keep you.
At least I'll be warm.
At least I'll die warm.
Yeah.
If people, if that part doesn't make it into this episode, people will be like, "Why do you keep talking about Rudolph?"
Yeah, what's going on? This is their post-Christmas episode.
Now I have
we,
to.
we were just talking about, Donner and Blitzen and
Yeah.
holiday cheer.
Holiday cheer.
Jingle balls.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talking about boys becoming men, we're still
Mentally,
giggling.
we're being 7 right now.
But go ahead.
I was just gonna say, my girls right now, they think it's hilarious, the word booty. Like, you say the word booty and they just start giggling, and I'm like, why is this
You
so
mean like
funny?
I just did?
Yeah. Like,
I'm gonna spit out my coffee to do it. I get your.
yeah, like, whenever they're being little, rambunctious or whatever, and we're like out in public, I'm like, park your booty, like park it, just sit down, right? And they're like, booty,
Giggity.
giggity, yeah. And I'm like,
Boobies.
that was your takeaway from this? Sit down, please, sit down.
Oh, that's so funny. But I mean, it's also, I think it's important to hold on to some of these things that we still laugh about and keep it lighthearted.
Yeah.
Because I think on the opposite spectrum, some people will go dive into manhood and like, I'm a man now, I'm a hard ass, I'm a badass. And it's like, no, there's still like this gift of being able to take yourself lightly.
Humility.
Being a man doesn't mean like, at least in my opinion, it doesn't mean like you are just so uber serious where everything is like, not everything is black and white. You know what I mean? I think from what I remember growing up, and I think a lot of guys are similar, where you're like 18, 19, 20, you start to make a little bit of money because you're working, and you're like, oh, I'm a man now. I got this figured out. Oh, I bought my first car on my credit. I didn't even know I got credit.
Got one little whisker coming out.
Oh, exactly.
Gotta get some beard oil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brush my mane, right? And you're just like, oh, I'm a man now because I'm making money. So I'm like, oh, it's not that hard. I get it. Oh, you make money, right? And then you get older and you start to, just like what you're saying, you start to realize there's so much more that life brings to you, and you have to be responsible for all these different things. And until you take that full responsibility, you kind of get stuck in that boyhood.
Yeah, and that's not to say that there isn't a time to be, assertive, right?
Oh,
And
right.
aggressive, even.
Of course.
There is that. That's not to say that there isn't the correct time to use that emotion or that energy for good.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah, when you're just 100% stuck in there, that's a lot of machoism. That's a lot of ego.
Yeah.
It's a lot, and that's probably where people are getting, or you kind of don't hear about it now. But when we first started this podcast, toxic masculinity was the big buzzword.
Yeah,
Everywhere.
you're right. You're right.
And that's kind of simmered down a bit, and I feel like we're coming around because even the young ladies, they're all like, I want a man to take care of me, and I'm like, well, whoa, what happened to
I thought
feminism?
that was toxic.
What happened to opening a door is treading on your rights or whatever, right?
Yeah, right.
But I see a lot of the young women coming around and say, but they even acknowledge, right, that they disagree with like
How men are becoming right now.
no goodness, when conservative men, like they disagree with the morality of conservative men, but the only ones that would take care of them, that the way that they want to be taken care of, the ones that would break their bone back, working for them, providing, taking care of them, what have you, is the conservative men, So, I think people are seeing the light.
I think a lot of people also found the courage to speak up.
That is true. That is very true.
You had this, I wouldn't say it's a niche group, but you have two schools of thought on masculinity. And I feel like it's always the people, if people don't agree with the current narrative, then they just stay quiet.
Yeah.
So if right now everyone else's thoughts are, oh yeah, toxic masculinity, but I disagree with that, and I'd be like, well, I'm not going to speak because I'm just going to get attacked, right? Because the norm right now is everyone's talking about it. But then once one person finds it, domino effect.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think people are finally realizing that if they don't stand up and speak up, they're just going to get trampled over. And that's also why we started this podcast.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing this terrible storm in the horizon, and what do we do? How do we fight back? And this was one of the ways that we decided to kind of illuminate some of the minds out there.
It's such a, man, you bringing me back to when we did start. It was like this dark cloud coming closer and closer to us, and we're like, that shit's coming.
Yeah. I feel the amount of little children being exposed to drag queen, I don't know how to say it, drag queen events or content, and people are starting to wake up. Parents are starting to wake up, and they're starting to realize, what's in this book? Why is this book here? And they're going to their committees and their school committees, and they're going and they're fighting back. They're speaking up. They're saying this is not right. Why does sexuality have a place in the place that's supposed to be about learning and academia? And I'm glad that people are finding the courage, and they're finding what they're willing to die for, what hill they're willing to die on. I'm glad for that.
Courage in general, though.
Yeah.
And even you look at Chicago politics right now. People are like, no, we're not raising property taxes. What? No, we're not going to do that. And people are in disagreement, and it's becoming very clear. And I'm thinking back to the election, and I'm like, that had very unexpected outcome because you had just a huge turnout for Donald Trump, but not many people were speaking up to it. People,
You're right. You are so
reading
right.
Article, people were nervous.
You are so right.
And it was leaning one way, and then just
The
blue.
the
Like,
polls showed the facts.
yeah, like you had the Amish come out and vote.
I was
in
just about to touch
Pennsylvania.
on that,
Like,
yep.
no one was talking about that.
Oh, did they?
until-
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
yeah.
And they don't come out. They don't come out.
They
They just like you said, it's like they disagree with the world. They're going to stay in their Amish community and not deal with any of it. And they were like, no, we need to do something. And they came out and they voted
For Trump.
for Trump.
And I think it had something
Great
to
job,
do.
Samuel. Great job, bro. You
Yeah.
rallied them. Yeah, rallied them. I like the way.
I think a lot of it had to do with something on how the state government or maybe a local government like came over them and shut down one of their operations. Like, I think it had something to do with like eggs or milk or something, saying you can't sell this. So I
Sounds about
think they
right.
stood together as a community and they're
Oh,
like,
good.
oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
You know, like our vote counts.
Yeah.
Let's,
We need to do something about this. Yeah.
yeah. So
That is so wow.
it's encouraging to see that more people are open to speaking their mind, whether their views agree with me or not. You know, it just I'm tired of seeing just one view.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if it is like something I agree with and that's the norm, I always welcome someone to challenge it because it's healthy to have these kind of dialogues. Because even talking with you guys like on Wednesdays, my view has changed on so much just by sitting, listening, asking questions, and we do that all respectfully,
Yeah.
right? There's no you have to believe that like we can have our different views on it.
That's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I never looked at it that way, right? Because the narrative prior to the election was like Kamala was gonna, it's what it sounded like for me. In my perspective, conversations I was hearing, I was not partaking because I was definitely not the one that they wanted to hear from. So I was just kind of like, okay. Unless I was asked directly, I'll tell them like, yeah, I'm voting.
Daddy Trump, baby. Woo, 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 woo.
I'm like,
All the way.
they're like, who you voting for? I don't know. I just want to make America great again.
As you pull out your MAGA hat.
I don't know. I still
don't know.
I'm undecided right now.
The hat.
yeah. I stayed out of all sorts of those conversations.
Oh, yeah.
because they just never really go anywhere. Like you vote, I vote, America speaks. Let the people speak, and that's what it comes down to.
See, that is, I think, the healthy way of going about it. But in today's culture, because you're the opposing view, you will be attacked. Like, what is wrong with you? Why do you think? And you start like, and what should be a conversation becomes an argument. So like, just like that, like I stay out of it unless someone asks me directly, and then they'll tell them, and then that conversation stops real quick because it just doesn't, like.
Well, it's a conversation. I've never seen one go well between like a Democrat and a Republican. Those conversations only go well with Republicans. And the reason for that is because they're like, well, your candidate's stupid for this and that, and mine is stupid for this and that. But they never say like, hey, we live in this country, right? I have children, you have children. It's about them. What's better for the future generation?
Right.
And that's really how we have to treat religion too, because we're so focused on bashing other religions. Like, well, you pray to multiple gods. Yeah, well, your God, wasn't the prophet. Instead, we all live on this world. Let's be united through our belief, because at the end of the day, between Judaism, Christianity, Islam, it's all one God. We all worship the same one God. There's just these details that we don't agree with.
David has the coexist sticker. For sure. Guys, just be peaceful, guys. We'll be friends. Peace, bro.
Actually, they're trying to, I forgot what they called it, but they're trying to unite the Abrahamic religions. I forgot the name that they're using for it, but they're trying to make it all one. And that's kind of scary because, if you've read the apocalypse, the end times, what you were talking about AI earlier, I think that AI is going to be the beast
Oh, yeah.
You know, because it says that the Antichrist will give life to the beast and will make everybody worship it. And I'm like, that kind of fits like AI. You know,
There's an argument that the beast is already here. It's already
Crypto.
it's
cryptocurrency. That's what it is.
It's 5G.
Yeah.
beast, aka TikTok. That's what we're trying to ban.
Now, AI will blow over. That's my 100% belief.
Blow over.
Yeah.
Like
It's a fad.
it'll
Really?
Yeah.
disappear or
Yeah, I mean, the largest tech conference just happened this past week, and it was all like focused on AI. And I gotta say, like, I usually watch like recaps of all of it. This is by far the most boring it's ever been.
Really?
There's not like any crazy good innovation in tech. Like, I feel like technology has peaked, and people keep talking about this AI, and people are like, man, what am I gonna use this for?
I know so many people that use AI, like people that use it for work. You know,
Yeah, for
like,
wrong purposes. But it's going to be just like when digital calculators came out, right? Like, you're telling me I don't have to do this on paper and think this thing just does it for me. And there's points like if you're writing a resume, sure, you know, like I can see it helping.
Yeah.
But some people are using it like Google.
Well, now it's on Google. Now, whenever you ask Google a question, the AI will give you a response, like a summary of
Yeah.
of the top hits for your question or whatever.
My wife actually, she sent me a screenshot of this. We upgraded her phone, right? And she's got the new like Apple Intelligence thing. And I went to Starbucks a couple weeks ago, and I ended up paying $7.50 for a coffee. I said, this is absurd. So we got like one of those fancy coffee machines where you push the button, and I texted her, I'll find it, but she sent me a screenshot of what her phone summarized it as.
Summarize the Starbucks coffee, or
No, like I texted her, and I said, her phone summarized my text, like it does summarization, so you just have to
Interesting.
glance and see what's going on.
What?
And her phone, I think I said, okay, we got this new machine. The new rule is we're not going to Starbucks anymore. Like, we're boycotting Starbucks,
nice,
right?
nice,
'Cause,
nice.
it's just insane to pay $7 for a coffee.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And her phone summarized my text as new rule prohibits Starbucks after coffee machine purchase.
Wow, that's funny, especially the format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New rule.
New rule. Yeah, that's so funny.
And I think I just texted her, all right, new rule is we're not going to Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like, if we have this at home, like,
Right.
The king says.
Yeah.
we did the math. It's going to pay for itself. We're not giving money to that anymore.
So how much did you
Wow.
pay for this coffee machine?
it
Because
was a lot.
Kata keeps trying to tell me to buy. She keeps like, "Come on, babe, let's buy." Because she wants to do the same thing. She wants to boycott Starbucks, and she's telling me to buy this. I want to say it's like $300 or $200 coffee machine, and I'm like, that kind of hurts. But then the math, you know, over the year, you know, how many coffees are you buying? And
Yeah, I basically said, how often are we going to Starbucks, right? And I have my budget tracking so I can see exactly how much we've spent at Starbucks. I just type in Starbucks and it'll show me like in the year. And I think we calculated within 2 years we get our money's worth.
nice.
So
If I drink four coffees every single day in 1 year, it'll
I
be
gotta
paid
get my
off.
money's worth. Baby. Over here shaking from the caffeine. It's like 3 a.m. I gotta get my money's
Hey
worth.
guys, I love saving money.
Yeah, I can taste sounds.
no, but like that useful thing, I can see it, you know, going back to AI, but I don't know. I think it'll blow over.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I really hope
I
you're
hope
right
you're right.
because with all the deep fakes that I see, like it's really crazy to see. Like, there's this page that my wife follows, and it looks just like the Wednesday Addams girl, and another character on the show, but it's not them. And they'll say we are not the real. We're just cosplayers because they can't say they're using their faces, because if they say that, then they'll get cut down for legal reasons, copyright reasons. But it's like, whoa, like if I didn't know any better, I'd say these are the people, you know. And I just think that the way that it creates content for you, you can tell it what you want, and you can put an image of the president there and make the president say whatever you want. And it's not perfect right now. You can tell it's, you know, something's off. But it's getting better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just what we're allowed to see too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, what we're allowed to mess with. And
I heard some tech guy say that he was asked, "Where are we with AI?" And he said 1997. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, we've had this since 1997? Is that what you mean, or?
No, it's 1997. He most likely referred to 1997 tech levels, because around that time you had these new operating systems coming out, like word processing was getting better, right? Like, imagine when spell check came out.
oh,
Like when you're
so you're saying
typing
it's still kind of in the early stages?
Oh, absolutely. It's very early stages, but I think as it flushes out, people will realize it's less about replacing jobs and more about making life easier. But the concern in that is, for this generation growing up, how dependent will they be on it? Because I'm looking, how many people still park using their mirrors instead of the backup camera? Like those kind of skills are going to fade, the basic skills.
Oh,
Making us dumber and weaker and
Yes,
softer.
and
Just
more
like what we
reliant
thought.
on technology. That's ultimately.
but what you said right there, that's what just sparked. But what are the fading skills?
Oh
Tons.
my God! Don't get me started on this topic. Like my mind Like, I just came back from Canada, right? And it was -11 with the wind chill. With the wind chill, it was -20 something, 25.
What the?
And like in the morning when the sun starts to come out, the forest looks gorgeous. It's frosted over. It looks like a sea. It looks like a forest made out of rainbows. It's gorgeous, right?
Wow.
It's beautiful. The light refracting and reflecting, and I'm thinking to myself, how did the Native Americans live here? How did they know how to live off the land? How did they know how to stay warm? How did they know where to go? How did they know what to plant, when to plant it? All of these amazing life skills, right? How? Like,
Trial and error.
dude, it
The only way.
it blows my mind. Like they really pass down all of their skills, all of the stories, all of the whatever from father to son to whatever, and I'm like, that is wild. And now, like, if you left me out there for more than an hour, I'm frozen, you know.
Unless you brought Rudolph.
Because there was
What's that one?
Rudolph.
Oh, yeah.
I
Man,
can
it's
get it.
-20,
Yes.
but I feel warm.
Yeah, it feels great.
And it was that passing down of the skills, right? Because you're thinking back then, boys were also in on the hunt, on the skinning of the animal, on all of
Yes,
that.
yeah.
And now a lot of that is lacking. And it actually reminds me of this very wholesome YouTube channel that I've come across numerous times. It's called Dad, How Do I?
Oh, I think I know which one
And
that
this is a guy who grew up without a father, who didn't have anyone to pass down the skills. So now he puts down YouTube videos for other people who never learned these skills.
Oh wow.
like how
And
to
the
tie a tie, how to change a tire. Yeah.
Oh, we got to get him on the show. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's got a couple million subscribers, if I'm not.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that he starts every video with "Hey kids." So he's kind of like, okay, if you didn't have a dad, I'll be that
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
And he passes down those skills.
Yeah.
Wow.
He made a video once where I forgot everything he said, but the summarization of it was basically, "Hey, I'm proud of you. You're doing a good job, right?" And I was like, "Oh God, no!"
Dad, how do I?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and I feel like that kind of stuff is going to happen less and less.
I think it's such a beautiful progression of this conversation, because we started off with like the degeneration, and then we're kind of going into AI, and people listening are like, "What is happening?" It's a great conversation. Don't get me wrong; I love it, and then it ties back into the skills that are being passed on. Like, sure, this next generation will be very good with tech. They're gonna be very good. I mean, Lana knows how to unlock my phone and scroll through. at 3 years old. She's doing stuff that, like, you know, go back 10, 15 years. Those 3-year-olds are not messing with iPhones the way 3-year-olds today can easily manipulate that device. Yeah, Carlene showed me this video, and she was like, in the video was saying, this would be a cool experiment. When you have to do the signal to call someone, how do you do it? Yeah, our generation's like this.
Yeah.
This new generation's like, when they ask them that same question, it's like this. Because they hold the phone, yeah, like that. Yeah, they hold the phone like a FaceTime. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I did that. I
I
saw
was
it
like, dude,
on
that's
social media, and I did
crazy.
it with the girls, and they did this, right? Like they
That
like
works
holding
too.
a brick
That
like
works
this.
too, okay.
And I was like, no, you have to do it like this.
It used
This
to
is the
be
way-
like this.
It
with
used
the
to
big
be,
antenna.
yeah, it
Oh,
used to be
that's
like
true.
that, yeah.
True.
Or it used to be like, yeah, pager.
And I was like, look, you gotta flip it open, you gotta pull the antenna out, and then you can talk.
Oh,
it's
look, Alfredo paged me.
boobs, boobs, booty, booty. But you know, like that. Those are the things that
Yeah.
are gonna be different. Like Star 67 to us, we know what that is. Next generation, Star 67. What's that?
Yeah.
Different stuff.
Calling
That's what
private.
you put before you called Domino's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.